Yo, what's good, boxing world? It's your boy, the Expert Genius, aka XP. Sorry I ain't been on here in a minute, making videos and stuff. Been dealing with a death in my family. My younger cousin passed away from leukemia. Kind of threw me for a loop, but can't let that get me down. So I guess I thought I'd get on here, start talking about boxing. I was gonna talk about the Danny Garcia versus Jose Benavidez fight last night, which was a good fight. And y'all know I give Danny Garcia a hard time, but that was a good fight last night. And I don't know what that judge that scored the draw. I don't know what he was watching, but it was, and I was going for Jose Benavidez, but it was clear Danny Garcia won that fight with no question. So how he came up with a draw, I don't know. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about Jake Paul and Hakeem Rahman Jr. and the major capping that's going on, and how I can see both sides being at fault, but more so Jake Paul. And here's why. Now, hold up. Let me get into why I think there's fault on Hakeem Rahman's part first. Now, he knew he couldn't get down to 200 pounds, but he signed the contract anyway. He had 3 to 3.5 weeks to make weight. He knew he wasn't going to make weight, but he signed the contract anyway. Because I believe, before I said I believe, that's his fault for signing the contract. You knew you wasn't going to make 200 pounds. And then when they made it, when they brought it up to 205, that was a closer task, but you knew you probably wasn't going to make 205. So you had to go from 220 plus pounds down to 216 or whatever it was, or 215. But he was planning on coming in at 215 or 210 and just having to pay the fine and fighting for the bare minimum of 5,000 or 500,000, however much it was. He was looking to fight for the bare minimum. Now, because I listened to both, here's why I call cap on Jake Paul and why it's his fault and why people are siding with him. Now, like Rahman said, they knew his weight and they knew he wasn't going to be able to make that in 3 or 3.5 weeks, because they called him in to spar with Jake Paul when he was trying to get ready for Anderson Silva. That didn't wind up happening. But like he said, if you let Paul tell it, Paul was beating him up when he was 230 or 230 plus pounds. But now you're scared to fight the guy at 215 or 210 pounds. Let's also not forget that his manager and his brother advised him not to fight Hasim Rahman because, you know, that wasn't going to bode well for him. And if you listen to Jake Paul when he, you know, said that Rahman pulled out, he said that he weighed 216, when this was announced, he weighed 216 pounds. 3 weeks later, when he was weighed again, he had only lost a pound. Now, if the fight was announced 3.5 weeks ago, then how did 3 weeks pass and Rahman only lost a pound? Ask yourself that. He had 3 to 3.5 weeks to lose the weight. But out of Jake Paul's own mouth in the video he did yesterday, saying that Hasim Rahman pulled out, that he weighed 216 pounds, and then 3 weeks later, he was weighed again, and he only lost a pound. So, if he was weighed 3 weeks later, shouldn't we already be in fight week? See, you got to pay attention to what people say when people say it. A lot of people skipped over that. Also, in Rahman's explanation, he said that there was a replacement, a Muslim fighter that fights at cruiserweight, that was doing the same thing that he was doing. They wouldn't have had no problem to cut weight and could have saved this fight. Cashin or Cushin or whatever his name is, he fights at cruiserweight. If Rahman couldn't have made weight, that guy, who's a professional boxer as well, that campaigns at cruiserweight, that could have made the 200-pound or 205-pound weight limit, could have saved the fight. But Jake Paul avoided that. And whoever he got to get the WBC involved for Jake Paul was smart. That was a smart move. But Sean Porter predicted this weeks ago that this was going to happen, and everything he said happened to a T. Jake Paul knew this fight wasn't going to happen. He used this to make it seem like professional boxers are unprofessional and they're scared of him and don't want to fight him. But in reality, he didn't want to fight Hasim Rahman. Tell me in history when there was a fight that was canceled a week before the fight was to take place because of weight issues. It hasn't happened. Jake Paul and them pulled out of this fight. I mean, because he has a bigger voice than Hasim Rahman. So the moment they knew this fight wasn't going to happen, the moment Hasim Rahman signed his name on the dotted line, Jake Paul had already won. Because if he pulled out the fight and did what he did, and because he has a bigger following and people listens to him, this was all going to look bad on Hakeem Rockman. Even though it's his own fault for signing that 200-pound contract when he knew he wasn't going to make it. It all falls back on him because it makes it look like he's unprofessional and that he really didn't want to fight, when in reality Jake Paul didn't want to fight. Because if he was so devastated, why didn't he just go to the replacement that was there if this fight, couldn't fall through? The whole thing was just canceled. This was a publicity stunt, a PR move, something to get Jake Paul's name buzzing again, to make it look like boxers are scared of him and trying to avoid him. Like I said, pay attention to what people say. 3 weeks later, Hakeem Rockman had only lost a pound. But if you go off of that, they should already be in fight week. This was major cap on Jake Paul's side, but Hakeem Rockman has nobody to blame but himself. But it is what it is. At that last face-off they had or whatever, it was clear as day. Jake Paul and his brother were nervous and didn't want this fight. They was looking for a way to get out of this fight, and Hakeem Rockman gave it to him. This was actually a no-brainer. Even though I don't agree with him on barely anything that he says, but he was right in this instance, and I'm talking about Showbiz Del Dope. He called this weeks ago. He said this fight wasn't going to happen. Everything he said about the fight not happening came true. Everything that Sean Porter predicted was going to happen happened. Jake Paul don't want to fight no real boxer. He just wants to make it look like these guys are scared of him. When, to me, I pretty much don't know much about Tommy Fury, but aren't the Furies not just Tyson Fury, but aren't the Furies not allowed in the United States because of Daniel Kinahan? I'm just asking a question. Why did you replace Hakeem Rockman with the replacement cruiserweight guy that was waiting? Just cancel the whole thing. This is a major cap. Jake Paul's a liar. Jake Paul is a fraud. And he got a lot of you people fooled. Because even when they announced him versus Hakeem Rodman. He was talking about fighting KSI and Conor McGregor. Pay attention to details. Listen to what people say. Because more often than not, especially in boxing, more often than not, people will tell you what they're doing in a way where it just slips right over your head. But this your boy, the Expert Genius, aka XP, and I'm out.